Wow, Steve, the last time we're going to hear that intro this year.
Yeah, so this is basically our end of year slash Christmas slash year in review type show. We've got a few recent Christmas releases we'll touch on, and then we'll do a recap of some of the stuff that happened this past year, and then look over the horizon of what we know is coming in 2025, and maybe hopes and wishes and whatnot. But yeah, I think this is the first time in exactly a month that you and I have been on here, Dad. Last time was the Relayer episode.
Wow, that was a month ago?
Yeah, the 23rd last month.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh boy,
Yeah,
time flies. And it's funny, I was going to complain and say, well, I can't believe it's almost 2 o'clock here already. But you just flew a month by me. Interesting. Well, time
right.
flies. Indeed, definitely. And we decided just now, right before we went live, to adopt something that we've been doing on Drum Talk TV, where we're simulcasting all the time on Yesshift, our other company. And that is that during the news desk reports with Ariana and Danielle, or Stephen and Danielle, or Ariana and Stephen, whichever configuration works each week, they do an icebreaker. And we do this in our meetings, our team meetings, for different reasons, to kind of get to know each other, et cetera, et cetera. And it's fun, breaks the ice, right? So we decided, hey, let's adopt it here. I mean, there's so much yes lore and history and mystique and rumors and conspiracy theories and truths and all these things that I said, hey, let's do this. So I'm going to do the first one.
All
To my
right.
recollection, yes has had 6 keyboard players. And folks, this is for you to chime in too,
Mm,
right? We've had Tony Kaye, Rick Wakeman, Patrick Moraz, Jeff Downs, Oliver Wakeman,
Igor Koroshev.
Igor Korchev. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, six official keyboardists.
Official
Yeah,
members. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Official
Yeah,
members.
I think that checks out. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, if there was a Yes Keys album, meaning keys, not keys
Right.
to ascension. Yes, Keys album with 6 tracks to best represent each of those players that were studio recordings, what would they be for you? And we could take them each player at a time together. So let's go in order. For Tony Kaye, what would it be?
Yeah, for Tony Kaye, I feel like I would want something from the early three albums because, with the Rabin era, there's that debate of, well, who's actually playing the keyboards here?
Plus, he was a
But
founder, so that's legit.
yeah, so, well, I think for me, one of the ones that really stands out is Yours is No Disgrace. Like, there's an extra touch that he adds to that original version of that song. So I think that would be my pick for Tony. What about you?
Mine, I like that. It certainly makes sense. I would, for me, dig just a touch deeper and go with uh I always screw up this title. No experience needed, no opportunity.
Oh,
No.
yeah, no opportunity necessary, no experience needed. Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one was also one of the contenders as I was thinking it through.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then next comes Mr. Wakeman. This might be the hardest one, but we'll see. What do you think? What would you pick for Mr. Wake? This Mr. Wakeman Senior, that is.
So I know he's had that relationship with Tails, but some of my favorite works of his are on the reviewing Science of God, so I think that would be my pick.
And that's always been baffling to me that like so many people who were into the older side of Yes, that's their favorite album and it's his least favorite that he played on. I'm going to go with Close to the Edge, even though your answer again is legit. That's my favorite all-time album, Tales. But okay. And then we've got Mr. Moraz, and
Yeah,
you got
that's gonna
three
be a
songs
tough
to
one.
pick. Yeah, you got 3 songs. What would they be? I think I
Well,
know, but go ahead.
yeah, I think the clear contender for Patrick is Sound Chaser. Like, it feels very him. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have the same answer or a different one?
I do because that's the one. where for the most part, for the largest percentage of the song and his playing, he brought that fusion element. Like certainly with his solo in To Be Over, which is beautiful, you hear traces of it there. There's all kinds of stuff in Gates of Delirium, but I think that that's probably the best representative contribution in a nutshell, if that's a pretty big nut, of what he
Right.
brought to the Yes sound and how he changed it. You know, that was a huge evolution. Change one member, and whoa, it was a whole different thing.
Yeah, definitely. So then we get to Jeff Downs. Um, I feel like some of these I could think of another thing later and be like, oh, I kind of wish I'd picked that. But
Likely,
I think,
same.
yeah, I think for Jeff, Tempest Fugit stands out. You got the and you got even got like the vocoder thing going on. So I think that might be my choice. What about you?
It's I really like Does It Really Happen? I I
Okay.
love the power chords on the organ and then the run and then a beep, 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 and I just I love the structure of that song and everything, but I would pick that as much as I'm a Tempest Fugit fan, of course.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Next we have Igor Koroshev.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm curious if we'll have the same answer, but the one that comes to mind for me is New Language. It begins with the
That's weird. I was going to say Roundabout. No. Oh, that you know what? Now that you say that, I was going to say, hold
He's
on, I'm
thinking,
running through.
folks.
What's that?
I said he's thinking, folks.
Yeah, I am. And folks, answer as well. Steve, maybe pose the question again, and I'll get this one. I just got to think this one song through to get the No, it is New Languages. Yeah. Yeah, it's that. I was going to say Lightning Strikes, but New Languages crushes it, even though they're both great songs. So I agree with you on that. And then we have Oliver.
Yeah, I think for me, Oliver, it's got to be something from a page, and I think the first track off of there, To the Moment, he's got like really cool stuff, even like a solo moment in the middle there somewhere, and like it's a really strong track. So I think I'd use that one to represent Oliver.
But you're not omitting considering Fly From Here, correct? The original.
Right. I think we know like one or two tracks from Fly From Here that he was on. I'm just looking at
But
it
it's a little hard to nail
quickly.
down. Yeah, it's funny. I
I,
just saw that
I,
in
yeah, because I
one
think
of
it
our
might
cars
be
earlier.
the We Can Fly and We Can Fly reprise bits. I'm just scrolling down. Look at the personnel. Okay, so on Fly From Here, he played additional keyboards on We Can Fly reprise, Hour of Need, and Into the Storm.
Oh, Into the Storm is really good, but I think I'm going to go with your pick as well. I agree with that.
Okay. Um,
It's
and I think
interesting.
that's everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the question was, folks, and Steve's got to peek at comments while I pose the question again. Six keyboard players, official members of Yes. If you were to if you were to choose a song from each one that best represents their playing and contribution to Yes, what would it be? And that's what we just went through. So moving into 2025 on Yes Shift, we will start with an icebreaker question that you're all welcome to chime in on. We want that. That's why we're doing it. I mean, Steve and I can talk about this anytime. And the next one will be brought to you by Mr. Stephen Elliott Schindler
Yeah, for sure. I'll
in
have to take
January
that
next
to.
year. You got to wait till next year for it, though.
Yeah. So next, we're talking about a few recent Christmas releases. Which one do you want to talk first? We have the Steve Howe one, we have the Band Aid 40th release, and we have the John Lodge single, Love Will Conquer All.
Let's go uh, with Steve Howe, Band Aid, and John Lodge with John Davison on backing vocals.
Okay.
So I had no idea what to expect. And folks, if you haven't heard this, you got to check it out. Maybe Steve, you could pop it in the comments while
Yeah,
we're doing this.
yeah. So this Steve Howe song is called 12 Guitars of Christmas, and people can listen to it on yesworld.com or on Steve Howe's website. And I think on Yesworld they also include the lyrics, which is
Yeah,
really nice. But
yeah,
yeah,
because I'm glad you mentioned that because when I was listening to it, I was walking to pick up our pointing over there as if that matters. Our truck was over there getting an oil change up the street, so I was listening to it, and there's traffic. We live on a highway, and I kept thinking he said a a bongo Telecaster instead of a Fender Telecaster, and I'm like, I gotta look at the lyrics. What am I mishearing here? I'm not gonna wear hearing aids while I'm going on the street. So that was kind of funny. But my whole take on it was I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. And Steve Howe takes a lot of criticism for his singing voice. I love his voice. It's a tenor. I find it very soothing. And I think it's fun to hear him sing. I love his first two solo albums when that's the first chance we really get to hear him sing alone. And I love those songs.
yeah. I think people give him too much flack for like his singing voice. Like it would be one thing if he decided he's now the new lead vocalist of Yes, because we expect a certain type of voice for
Yeah.
Yes, but no, he knows like what the Yes sound is, but he also has a really great voice on his own for his own solo albums and occasionally like solo songs, or like occasionally there will be a Yes song as like a bonus thing where he's a bit more in front, and I really like how he sounds.
He's
So
part of
yeah.
the most well-known Yes choir, actually.
Yeah. And
And
I really like that he went ahead and did this track. It was a nice little surprise. And I think a nice way, to remind people to not take things too seriously. And also leaving things on a nice note at the end of the year after, like, all these things that kind of make a mess and whatnot, and people debate back and forth in music and whatnot. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think it was a nice touch to end the year with.
cool. And then Band-Aid, kind of reimagined to some degree by Trevor Horn, one of the best producers of all time. I remember when this first came out, um, and we're in what was that, 84, 86, something like that. And we are reminded right away in this new mix that indeed is Phil Collins on the drums, his signature sound. And it was even emphasized a little bit more on this version than it was in the original. Um, and you get the narrative by David Bowie in the front. And just, I think I appreciate it. So I have a confession. I appreciate it. I mean, I've always appreciated the sentiment and the purpose of the song, but I way more appreciate the musicians and artists now than I did then. Because back then, I was in a prog band and I was doing music for commercials, and I wasn't into the whole new wave thing. You got Simon Le Bon, I think Boy George was there. A bunch of people of that era that was not the music I listened to. So when this came out, it was like, okay, there's Freddie Mercury, there's David Bowie, there's Phil Collins. You know what I mean? But now I'm older, I am wiser, I have a much more wider music palette. I mean, I'd have been fired from that band had I been caught listening to B-52s, which I had no interest in at that time. Now they're like one of my favorite traveling music bands. We've talked about that before. Um, so I quite like this very much, and it's really great that they revived it. It also shows that it's still necessary. There's still a need for these contributions and this sort of mission of fundraising. So nice to hear Trevor staying busy as ever, doing a great job with whatever he touches. What about you? And had you ever heard the original one
Yeah.
knowingly?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard it, or at least a cover of it, because the whole "Let them know it's Christmas time, feed the world," it's just so memorable. But
Yeah.
yeah, they re-released this. So this EP, "Do They Know It's Christmas?" The 40th anniversary ultimate mix or whatever it's called,
Oh wow,
has
40
the
years. So okay, it was 84 then. Duh.
yeah,
Okay.
so it has 5 tracks. The Toy Toy 4 version of the song, the 1984 version, the 2004 version, and the 2014 version. So those have been 20th and 30th anniversary
And I missed all
things.
those. I just
And
remember the
then
original.
yeah, and then a live version from Wembley in 1985, I believe. And I
Oh,
also
at
have
the Live Aid thing?
yeah, yeah.
Ah, I forgot
Um,
about that.
Yeah, and I also have these pictures of what the physical releases look like. So first off, we have the CD version. So I quite like how it shows a track list on the top side of that disc.
And I never
And
understood I'm sorry, in the bottom right, when I was watching and listening to the video, um, the artwork's much bigger. Maybe you could zoom in. I never understood what looks like the backwards alien with the going for the one butt showing. I didn't understand that.
well, so
Is it supposed to be
uh,
a child?
yeah, I thought it's supposed to be a child because this is
Okay,
because like the fundraiser was for people in Ethiopia, from what
right,
I understand.
right.
Um, so yeah, that's what I believe that is. I mean, it looks like a starving child, so I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's what it is right
Yeah,
there.
and I didn't mean to make light of it. It just to me wasn't clear what it was, but that makes perfect sense, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have the vinyl pick right here. Just a sec. Um,
Geez, I'm so behind the curve. I got to get a record player again.
no, yeah, it's pretty funny that I got one before you got another
I
one.
know.
So
Well, I have a 1924 Victrola that works, but I don't want to play modern records on it.
oh
Just the
right,
old one.
yeah.
But yeah, records behind those pictures and drums are stacking up that we keep getting from people.
Yeah, so this is the how the vinyl one looks, and yeah, I really like the cover design.
Yeah.
With the red heart and the yellow and those pictures at the top. So I think it's really cool, and I've included the link in the description for anyone who wants to get it or check it out. So yeah, I thought it was nice revisiting that. They posted like a making of vid that because of behind the scenes stuff from back in the day. And
I remember that.
yeah, so it's really cool that all that is available. So
Cool.
do
Let's
you have any
before we go ahead.
I was gonna ask if you have anything else you want to add before we move on to the John Lodge thing.
No, just to reiterate that it's a great work of production of something reimagined by Trevor. And then after John Lodge, we'll take a look at comments and then we'll buzz through what's gone on, yes related and yes shift related for 2024 as we close out the year.
Yeah, for sure. So the John Lodge Christmas single "Love Will Conquer All." I talked about this, I think last month. So people have heard my thoughts on it, and this was a song that John Lodge worked on after suffering a stroke a while back, and it's about conveying the Christmas spirit and love of family and whatnot. So, what did you think of the overall sound of this one, Dad?
Overall sound, I really liked it. It's a great piece. I'll get to John Davison's contribution in a moment, but
Yeah.
as you just said, it's I believe the first thing he did since the stroke, and it's really, really a nice piece and did a great job of like, hey, I'm back and I'm okay. Is kind of like what I got out of it. He really does sound good, and John Davison. I've said this a lot about John Davison. There's certain yes songs where, well, let me put it this way. A lot of people are always, and it's natural that they're going to make the comparison to, what was his predecessor's name? John Anderson. And, and I like that John Davison have his own voice. It's not like he's constantly trying to imitate Mr. Anderson. He has his own voice. Yes, it's in the same register. Yes, that's part of canon when it comes to vocals. But I like that he sounds like him on this piece himself, is what I mean,
Yeah.
because he has his own voice. We heard it with Glass Hammer. We've heard it with other work he's done. We've heard it with Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Like you could definitely tell when it's him singing, but it still fits with the type of voice that people expect from a Yes lead vocalist. So
Yeah,
yeah, and
which
I
I'm
like
totally
that.
okay with.
Yeah, and of course, it's to be expected with John Lodge being his father-in-law. But I do like that they continue to work together. That he continues to play with him on this and the upcoming Love Conquers All EP in February and tour dates and whatnot. So
Yeah,
I
but I
think
want to
that's
see
really
the
cool.
arguing bloopers. I mean, if you're in laws, there's got to be some level of arguing, right?
Yeah, the arguing bloopers. Yeah, and also, so another thing I want to bring up is I do remember I saw this post on the Alan White Facebook page about Run with a Fox. So this is a little message from the White family saying another Christmas has arrived. Run with a Fox is still an endearing wish for happiness for the holiday. Recorded 43 years ago, Chris and Alan's effort has stood the test of time. It is our hope they are together now, playing the music they created and the long friendship they formed over the years. Onward towards 2025, we're wishing peace and love to all good people. Happy Christmas, the White family.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, next up, we do have a few comments so far. I see
Okay.
Johnny A says, great guitar player, referring to Steve Howe. We have Harry Whitley saying, season's greetings, guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Harry. Thanks for chiming in and watching what we do too.
Yeah, and Gilly Good News says, Merry Christmas, guys. Also include like a Santa emoji and music notes emojis.
Thanks,
Um,
Gilly.
and Greco Roman says, listening from Puerto Rico. So, wow. How about
Nice.
that? Right.
Gracias.
So now we have our 2024 year in review. So I've organized these by month, so we'll go through these, read these off, and whenever you want to, feel free to chime in, like you, the audience, who are tuning in live, and also you, Dad, as we like read each of these, and
Yeah,
we'll
there's a
we'll give
lot
our
here.
yeah we'll give our brief thoughts on these things, but yeah. So first off, we have January. Pretty much January to now, Kansas had a tour through North America the whole year. Their 50th anniversary tour. Included that as an honorable mention for Tom Brislin. And then in January, we also had two sides of Peter Banks released on red marble vinyl. So I quite
Gosh, I
like how
can't
they,
believe that was all the way back in January, Steve.
yeah,
Good
yeah, I
grief.
quite like how they do these re-releases on vinyl.
Yeah. And
Um,
then February, we had Rick Wakeman's return of the Caped Crusader tour in the UK.
yeah, and then we had Oliver Wakeman on Drum Talk TV Brilliance in March, doing a Q&A and performance. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great. He did a private performance for our members. DrumTalkTVBrilliance.com is our membership site. And he was just so generous with his time and playing and, some anecdotal stories, but answered questions from fans and stuff. Do you mind if I show the 47-second commercial for Drum Talk TV
Go ahead,
Brilliance?
yeah.
Check this out, folks. My lovely wife on voiceover.
Drum Talk TV Brilliance is for you if you want to enjoy exclusive live stream concerts, want to participate in fan Q&As with big artists, want to play fun music-themed game shows online with a chance to win prizes, you're a drummer and want videos posted of you playing to your favorite music without it being muted or pulled, and so much more. And it's only $12 a month or $120 a year. That's less than a combo meal at most fast food restaurants. That's an insane deal.
That's amazing.
It's not just for drummers, it's for all music fans.
That's right.
Yeah.
We had Oliver on that. We had Aaron Emerson on that, and many others. Derek Showman, Rudy Sarzo recently. So not just drummers; it's for all types of music fans, not just drummers or drumming fans. But yeah, let's go through. We've got so much more. Move on to March and April.
Yeah, so from March to April, Rick's final solo tour had some dates in the US and South America. And
Yep.
then in April, Billy Sherwood played with Dave Kersner's band on Cruise to the Edge. I remember hearing that they played an Arc of Life song called Don't Look Down.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oliver Wakeman's Anam Cara band performed at a Winter's End festival. So they played some selections from his new solo album, as well as from some collaboration stuff with Gordon Giltrap, if I remember correctly, and material from Yess's From a Page.
Yep.
And and then that same month we got Yes Yale Bowl 71 released for Record Store Day, and the Classic Tales of Yes tour went to Europe from that month and into June.
And then May, we get Talk's 30th anniversary release. And wasn't it shortly after that or around then that we had Trevor Rabin on one of those times?
Yeah, we had him on and we talked a bit about it. Yeah, that was pretty interesting, that one. And
Yeah.
I like how it includes the live show from I think the second night of the Talk tour. So it was cool that they included that. And the essay and whatnot. So, and also kind of unexpected because Talk is one of the underrated Yes albums. I feel like people generally focus on the Atlantic years from 68 to 87.
And yet it may be the best work by that lineup.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The only one with a sort of epic, if you will. And for those who don't know, and we talked in length about this with Trevor, probably the very first album ever recorded 100% with no tape and direct to hard disk. And Trevor's going to be part of our Drum Talk TV Brilliance Q&A as well for members. So get in. And then we get Anam Cara from Oliver Wakeman, had him on to talk about that. Great album, great artwork as well. I'll never forget just how, wow, the wow factor of the artwork and how fitting, it fit with the music. Then you get Squack It, A Life Within a Day, of course, Chris Squire and Packett's work.
That got like a re-release, like audio on Blu-ray, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And then John Anderson and the Band Geeks begin touring the U.S. again the 30th of May, and this would go into September. We saw them in August, and then we had John on this show 3 or 4 days before his 80th birthday. None of that made any sense. You see him perform live. There's no auto-tune. There's no real fancy special effects that changes. There he is just doing it. It was truly, I don't even have the words for it. It was truly unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, that was an amazing show. And to get him on our show, like that was a huge moment for the show. I think would be an understatement.
Yeah, and thanks to, I just want to say again to Richie Graziano, who helped facilitate us going to the show and then brought us, backstage.
Richie Castellano.
Castellano, sorry. And we got to spend like 2 hours with them. And the funny thing to me was when John came down and Richie said, "Hey, John, I want to meet you to meet my friends." And he's, "Steve," he recognized you from the Patreon stuff that you participate in with them.
Yeah, that was a really cool, I wasn't expecting to spend that much time there, but it was really amazing.
Yeah, sorry I botched your name, Richie. So many Italian names, they just sound the same to me. What can I tell you?
Yeah. All right, so then in June we got a trailer for the movie Here, which included your favorite song, I've Seen All Good People, in that trailer. And then there's a Bill Bruford convention in Tokyo. I think even on my brother, your other son Alex's birthday. So
yeah, June 16th.
yeah, so Bill was at that convention, and then there was
Was
later
Alex
that month.
there?
No,
Okay.
it'd be weird if he was and just didn't tell us, but
That'd be a little more than weird.
yeah, but yeah, later that month, the Fragile Deluxe Edition or Super Deluxe Edition, I think it was called, was released, and it was really odd that there was that one track that later people realized, oh, they got that mixed up from like something else. So
Yeah, what's
I,
up with that? Who's in charge over there?
yeah, I think it's another reminder that people should pay more attention when they put these box sets together. As much as we really like them coming out and having extra stuff, you gotta like do a little bit more research.
Yeah, know your stuff and use Wikipedia if you have to.
Yeah. Or ask like have a Yes fan listen to the thing and maybe they'll be like, I'm not sure that that's the band, and then they'll
Yeah,
lead
or
to them to your
remember, for goodness
marketing.
sakes.
Yeah. And then there was the same day that came out saw the release of the 50th anniversary release for King Crimson's USA, featuring Bill Bruford, of course. That came out in the mid
Yeah.
70s.
Before I get on to July, we're halfway through the year, folks. Before I get on to July, any new comments?
Yeah. So I see Silas Better is watching from Liberia, West Africa.
Wow.
And Gilly Good News has an interesting question, which I think we should answer after we go through all these things. But
Okay,
um, yeah,
cool. Okay, thank you. Gilly, hang in there. We'll answer it. July of 2024 saw Asia Heat of the Moment tour.
yeah.
Uh,
And that's, of
yeah.
course, the configuration with Harry Whitley, who is tuning in now, John Mitchell, Jeff Downs, and Virgil Donati. So they all have these connections, and I'm really glad they were able to finally like have a tour, because there were some other things that were delaying Asia the band from doing a tour, celebrating the first album. So I'm glad that they finally got out there. And the videos that we've seen, like from some of the shows, that they've posted on their socials, like the performances look really solid. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great there.
And Virgil's such a phenomenal drummer. I kind of call him and finally get him on. It's like every couple years or something, it just doesn't match up schedule wise, but we'll make it happen because Virgil's truly a A plus 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 musician and a great drummer.
Yeah, and the
Um,
prog corner tuning in says Harry is awesome, and yes, we definitely agree. Yeah,
Absolutely did such a great job on that. What shoes to fill? I mean,
yeah,
seriously. Focus 12 with Roger Dean Art was released
yeah. That was a great album.
on Cherry
Um,
Red Rec. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Okay, on Cherry Red Records, a 5 CD or double vinyl edition of producer's debut of the album Made in Bassing Street
Yeah,
was
and that
released.
featured Trevor Horn. And
Yep.
speak of Trevor Horn, that same month on his YouTube channel, he made the Buggles live in Las Vegas available for a limited time, and I thought that was really well shot. That was during the tour last year that he did with Seal, and
Right.
I really hope that this gets like a home video release, because
Oh,
if
that'd be
if
great.
you shoot all this stuff and it looks and sounds really good, like you got to put that on like DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah. And I want extras too. I want to see Easter eggs and extras with that.
Oh yeah, the pranks behind the scenes and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I throw out his Trevor Horn.
Yeah. And
And
then
then
we
we got
got the this show on Netflix called Decameron came out that month and featured And You and I in one of the episodes. So
yeah.
yeah, that was kind of unexpected there.
Then
Um
July, August.
yeah, so July through August, John Lodge toured the US again, and I think this was with John Davison. Like each tour that has been announced within the last couple of years has had John Davison with him and his band. So yeah, really glad that they're still busy. And then in August, I saw a couple of different release dates for this, but I think August was like the when this happened was Stephen Lamb's 90125 book was released, and that was quite a fascinating read, wasn't that, Dad?
Yeah, definitely. It was great to have him on talking about it as well. That's a
Yeah.
great, highly recommended. Anything by him, especially Yes related. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the 23rd of that month, we got True by a little startup band, John Anderson and the Band Geeks. No, I'm kidding.
That
Yeah, it's a great album, and
it is
yeah,
still
go
on
ahead,
high
Jeff.
rotation. Anytime, if I'm just so the main grocery store we go to is literally 3 minutes away. If I don't hit the light, it's 3 minutes away. And from the end of the driveway till the parking spot, I'm blasting that album. No matter whenever I can, I listen. I just love it. It really is a great work of music, production, the playing, John's voice, all the other guys. Folks, if you haven't gotten it yet, you got to check it out. You got to check it out. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, we also have a comment from one of our viewers, Charles Nolan, says, "Merry Christmas, Steve and little drummer boy." I think that's you, Dad.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas indeed.
Yeah. And then August through September, Yes toured the US and then Japan with Deep Purple on their 50 Years of Smoke on the Water tour. I think it. I think a while ago I looked up when Smoke on the Water came out, and it might be a couple years off, but whatever. People like really love Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, because it
Um,
came out on Machine Head,
right.
which I think was, I always related it to 72, but it must have been
I think
73.
it was, yeah,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
And then
Um,
Made in Japan, the live tour recording of that was 73, I believe.
okay, yeah, that sounds
Maybe
about right.
that's where it.
Yeah. And depending on who you ask, there were some shows where people thought they liked Yes's performance a bit more than Deep Purple, and other shows where people thought vice versa. So I kind of wonder if maybe it depends on the show or if people just have their different perceptions of things. But
Based on who they like better.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of an interesting tour because we're not so used to Yes being kind of the non-headlining band between two
Right.
bands, you know. So would kind of like for them to be the headline band again, hopefully next year. But yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And then September there was a 2 LP limited edition release for both ABWH and Union by Sony Music Japan, and Gonzo did a re-release of the Yes Speak DVD. You remember watching that one back in the day, right? That little documentary.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think I have that though.
Well, I think you had it at some point. I don't know if you still do. Like, you'd have to.
Well, I
Like,
don't get
download
rid
it
of
or
stuff unless I give it to you.
well, I
That
don't
kind of
have
stuff
it,
anyway.
so
Okay, then I don't think I had it. I don't know how we saw it. Maybe I have it and just don't remember. That's possible.
maybe. And then the 18th of September, the Pete Roth Trio begin touring the UK, and these shows go into December. And of course, Bill Bruford was, or is, I should say, part of that
Out of
trio.
retirement as a playing musician.
Yeah, it's quite a surprise, right?
Yeah, I'd like to know the story. I've not heard it or read it. We need to dig it up and serve it up to our audience, even for our own edification as well. What is the story? How did Pete Roth get Bill Bruford out of retirement? Come on, Bill. It's traditional jazz. Come on. I mean, I want to know that story, right?
Yeah, because I do recall that he may have even been offered to tour with Beat, who are doing like 80s King Crimson music, and he declined but gave them his blessing. But I do also recall sometime within the past month or so, Bill Bruford made a post where he mentioned that he understands, you know, John Anderson wanting to keep touring and playing the music and whatnot. So I think there's still a bit of that in Bill. Like he still wants to play now and then, even if it's not the same extent as how things used to be. And you know, he loves jazz, so I think he's being selective with what he wants to do. And
I think
it's
his wife
also
needs to get him out of the house. That's what I think.
yeah, and also this isn't a group he was already in. You know,
Right.
like it's not a King Crimson or a
was
Yes
fresh.
or and even in Earthworks. So maybe it's like a new avenue that he's still interested in exploring.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And then we go to, where are we?
Oh, so closing out September, Steve Howe released Guitarscape, which featured him on guitar and keyboards, and also featured Dylan Howe on drums. So I remember we quite enjoyed that one and did a
Yeah,
review of it on the show.
absolutely. October 2024 brought us from Rick Wakeman, Yes Sonata released. Um,
Yeah, his medley
Magical,
of Yes material and also like some of his 70s solo material is really cool.
right? Magical Project's 11th hour released.
Yeah, that one featured Billy Sherwood and Oliver Wakeman as guests.
Yep.
So kind of
And
been a little unknown, but it was cool that that was around. Yeah.
the best of Bill Bruford, the Winterfold and Summerfold years.
Yeah, that got released, and then Prague Stock happened, and it was originally gonna have Patrick Moraz doing a performance there as he did the previous year, but he ended up having to get a surgery done, and it went well. But he sent in a video message, which was really nice, to all the people. And Prague Stock does have plans with him, if I remember correctly. Like he'll be at the one next year. Um, and they might even try something earlier, like a Prague Stock presents Patrick Moraz type of thing.
Oh,
So yeah, I guess we'll see what they end up doing there. And then
cool.
closing out October, Yes Singles 2 was released. Now these Yes Singles releases are uh, people have some contention with these, don't they?
Yes. And I think part of the issue is the record company could say, here's the singles, but the fans, I think, have sometimes a different perception of what they feel qualifies as a single.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just that the fans already have the full songs, and so they might not be as interested in the singles, or they might already have some of them on some other releases.
Yeah.
But I do remember hearing that part of these might be to get newer fans into Yes, and I'd be really curious to hear like how well, like what's the data and all that, like is it working, how are the sales, like I'd be very curious to know all that stuff, but I don't think we'll ever be told all the specifics.
Yeah. And I don't remember how far back in the catalog they go either.
Yeah, well, it's mainly the Atlantic years, I
Okay.
believe. So yeah.
Okay.
um
Interesting.
And before we move on, I see Charles Nolan threw in another comment answering our question off the top of the show of what song from each official Yes keyboardist would he use to represent them. So for Tony K, he writes The Prophet. Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah. Patrick Moraz, To Be Over. Rick Wakeman, The Remembering. Wow. Jeff
Oh,
Jeff Downs, Machine Messiah, and Igor Koroshev, Homeworld. Well, what would be your Oliver Wakeman answer, Charles? Are you still thinking it over? Let us know.
yeah. Those are
Um,
good ones.
yeah. So, getting back to the calendar thing, October through November, Rick did more U.S. dates for his final solo tour. Then we go into November. John Lodge and John Davison toured the U.S. again. And then we saw the release of the Gottlieb brothers tour book that was to be for the Relayer tour for the album series that would have happened a few years ago.
That's cool that they still put that out.
Yeah, yeah. And, it'll be up to each person, like, whether they want to get it. But for what it's worth, I really like that it includes some words from Alan White that we didn't already have elsewhere,
Yeah.
and the pictures and stuff that represent the Relayer and solo albums era. So I'm glad I have it in my collection, and I collect these tour book things as I can.
That's cool.
Yeah. Then we got Fragile Outtakes released for Record Store Day. And there's a Roger Dean painting session at Trading Boundaries. I'm sure that
Right.
was a lot of fun. And then what we talked about, the new Ultimate Mix version of Band Aid, was released, 40th anniversary of the original recording. And then November to December, or I think in November, Bill's autobiography was re-released. And then November to December is the Yuletide Christmas show. So that's Rick Wakeman, and I believe Adam is involved in that as well. And Adam, of course, recently released Jazz Sabbath, the 1968 tapes. It's a lot of fun.
And we got to have him on to talk about that finally. That was really fun.
Yeah. He's a really cool guy. It's funny how Rick, Oliver, and Adam, they're all humorous, but in different ways. Like, their
Totally.
senses of humor. So it's really cool.
Totally.
Then we get into December. So Trevor Horn attended the 2024 BMI London Awards, at which he accepted an award attributed to Owner of a Lonely Heart. And then Bill Bruford was at the Tama 50 celebration and met Billy Cobham there. I'm not sure if they'd met before. Maybe they have, but in any case, they posted this picture of the two of them together, which I'll go ahead and share real quickly. Okay.
I was kind of surprised when I saw that, thinking, really? They never met before? I was at the Tama 40th anniversary, and that's when I met Billy and started working with him. But Bill Bruford wasn't there. So I wonder if maybe they didn't meet before. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, I guess. But point is, it's really cool to see two, like, double bill, basically, two bill drummers together.
Yeah.
Then we have, the Steve Howe 12 Guitars of Christmas song, which we just talked about. And Dave Kersner's Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tribute album was originally going to come out last month, but he really wants to get down the mixes to until he's like really happy with it. So I've seen the release date got shifted to later this month. So maybe that album will be something that we could listen to and then review in the new year sometime.
And have him on and grill him again. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through all this 2025 stuff or save that for the first episode of 2025?
I kind of still want to go through it because there's not as much as we have listed for 2024.
Okay, and I hope Gilly's still there. I'm real curious what the question is.
Yeah, and then Kevin Morine from Yes Music podcast has also been working on the Tales from Topographic Ocean's listening guide. It's still in progress, so I imagine they'll probably come out in the new year. And then we have a few things that we know are going to happen in 2025. So February is John Lodge's EP, which we mentioned earlier, features John Davison, and Jeff Downs is also on the track there. I think it's called Whispering Angels. March is when John Anderson and the Band Geeks live Perpetual Change will be released. That
Can't wait.
A show from last year, so that'll be interesting watch or listen if people only get the CD or vinyl. But yeah, cool to have that on DVD and Blu-ray. March through April, more Rick's final solo tour East Coast dates. April, John Lodge's UK shows, which will probably have John Davison as well. Asia is going to be performing at Trading Boundaries, I think a few shows, and these will be playing the first 3 Asia albums. So that's Asia, Alpha, and Astra. So really cool that they're going to be able to do those. Yeah. Has Astra gotten much live play in the past? I'm not sure if it has gotten a lot other than
that I've ever seen them play when I've seen them. So that will be interesting. There was a lineup change and whatnot. So it wasn't revisited once they did the reunion stuff. So I don't know outside of that, the actual tour.
Okay. And then also in April, we'll have Cruise to the Edge.
Wait, maybe Harry can answer that if he's still watching.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then April, Cruise to the Edge. I think Billy is performing with Dave Kersner's band again, but we also got Rick Wakeman and Adam Wakeman on that cruise, so that'll be quite different as well. Great additions. Spring is when John Anderson and the Band Geeks are are hoping to have their possible next tour.
Cool.
Uh, and this one I saw someone post about it and also read it on Bondigezu. Summer there might be a new Downs Braid Association album, but whether it's in summer, it'll depend on when the next Yes album releases. Supposedly, that's what I've heard, but
Right.
that's yeah. August, Trevor Horn's band is expected for the Crop Ready Festival. They weren't able to do this this year because of some health issues, but yeah, hopefully that'll work out. And October is when the next Prog Stock is, and so we expect that Patrick will be at that. And of course, other things that we expect to happen in that year is the next Yes album and an Anderson Stolt follow up. And of course, we know John's also been busy with Thousand Hands Chapter 2 and
Right.
I think a couple other things. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and go back to the comments. Oh, for Oliver, Charles Nolan says to the moment. So yeah,
Oh,
our same pick.
good one.
And also says that Steve Howe did a great job with the 12 guitars of Christmas. Yeah, glad you enjoyed that, Charles.
Yeah.
But
I'd love to get 6 mandolins. I've one of mine here. Bought it
yeah.
new in 1977, and it's still one of my favorite instruments I have.
Yeah. Oh, Dave Watkinson says 2025 Yes Solos anniversary, Magnification release, more Bill Bruford gigs, Roger Dean exhibition. Yeah, I remember seeing that some work is being done on a potential re-release of Magnification. So I hope that does come to fruition.
Interesting. Yeah.
And Bella Lugrisi says Merry Christmas and Johnny New Year. Or, oh, so like John Anderson, maybe, I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah, so Gilly Good News's question was 2025 could see new Yes, DBA, and Asia. Wow, means 3 new Roger Dean art as well. What are you most
hopefully, yeah.
and what are you most looking forward to?
That's a great question. I'm real curious about the new Asia album. That's the one that piques the most curiosity for me.
Yeah, so is there actually a new Asia album happening or is it just some touring? I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
So
I'd be curious to hear and see both.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's a
for
great
their
question.
yeah, because their summer tour last year didn't get to the West Coast, so hopefully
Right.
they get closer and whatnot. I think for me, you know, I'm really looking forward to like we know John and the Band Geeks like want to do another album. Like John even previewed one of the tracks when we had him on.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm also like super curious about the next Yes album because it's not always the same thing. Like with any of these new releases from either of these people, but yeah, it's been a couple years since Mirror to the, or it will almost be a couple years since Mirror to the Sky. Whereas we just got True recently, and are still like absorbing that.
So will
So
this be? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm curious to see like what the next Yes album could be like. I did see that in a recent Biff Bam Pop interview. Steve Howe said we're taking a little time to make plans for the future because I think you've got to be more careful now. You can't presume, you can't run away with thoughts, about your grandeur or anything. You've got to be really. I've enjoyed staying down to earth, as much as I can. But
So
yeah,
do you?
we know that they've been writing it and whatnot.
And if it's the same lineup, does this set a record for the most releases by the same lineup in a row?
No, because Alan was still on the quest, so
Oh yes.
they'd
Sorry.
have to make
Yeah.
another one after this next
Okay.
one to break that record.
Yeah. And who knows? That's a ways off, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. It's been a really fun year. We want to thank everybody who's been part of any of our episodes. I don't even know the count of how many episodes we did this year. Do you? We're at
Um,
173, and I think we started in the 30s. Nah, that couldn't be. Could it?
I don't know. I'd have to look again, but yeah.
You know
Oh, I
what?
also see Visualize Prague says any word on when the XOX Xeno album is going to be released. It's a band featuring Billy Sherwood, Patrick Moraz, Jay Shellen, and a singer-songwriter named Craig Mahir. So
Oh wow.
I remember the page for that posted an update in October, but I don't think there's been an update since then. I'd have to. I always have to look at the name again because I forget what
One
type
thing
of
I want to
title it
give
is.
a nod of recognition to that we didn't mention that happened was yet another play for Chris and Alan.
Oh yeah, Play for Chris 10. That was earlier this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
that and a bunch of tribute things. Yes, tribute bands. Continuing to show the love of the music of Yes. Um, but yeah, okay. So the most recent update for EXO X Xeno was in October, and it looks like it was getting prepared for uh, digital downloads and vinyl releases, but there's been no update since then. So I'm really not sure what's up with that at the moment. So hopefully in the new year we'll hear more.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, peace and love, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kwanzaa starts on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. So everything's happening at once. It's the big convergence as well as turning a digit on the new year to 2025, which is going to be great for Yesshift, great for Drum Talk TV, and great for Drum Talk TV Brilliance.com, our membership site. So thanks so much for enjoying Steve and putting up with me all this time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's very cool because I feel like we know a little bit more going into 2025 than we did 2024, but there's always going to be more to discover, and we're all along for the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows what'll come up that is either new news or stuff we don't even know about or something. This we got a whole year to see what happens. This is just
Yeah,
little sneak peeks of what we know about or think we know about.
right. All right, so thanks, folks, and we'll see you all in the new year. Keep an eye out for our posts, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks.